Okay. So so first I want to dedicate this year to Refuah Shlema for Uriel Ben Hamanucha Tzipora. Thanks. Yeah. Hamachuna Tzipora. And then and also to the Shmira of the Chayalim and the return of the hostages. Okay, so we're up to Sikha 173, and we're actually, kudos to us, we're in like a different section of it, of Sikhos Haram, which is his attainments. So I guess like the next bunch of, what was the one beforehand? Oh, it was other teachings. Okay. And then there was a part that talked about his stories, and then there was a part that talked, whatever, like, I guess it's like divided a little bit. So now we're up to his attainments. So we're going to start reading Sikha 173. So it's an interesting Sikha. But yeah, I'm excited for this year. We have good topics to hit. Okay. I heard the following conversation which the Rebbe had with Rabbi Shimon. When Rabbi Shimon returned from over the border, Rabbi Shimon had been away and had not seen the Rebbe for more than 3 years. I do not know the exact details, but something happened in Midvedika that caused the Rebbe to become upset with him. The Rebbe said, I am banishing you to the other side of the Don River. Hashem caused the Rebbe's words to be fulfilled. A short time later, Reb Shimon traveled to the vicinity of the Don River, some 100 leagues from Medvedka. This is deep in Russia, where Jews are a tiny minority, less than 1 in 1,000. There were an even smaller minority many years ago when this event took place. I'll take a cup. Thanks.
Anyone else?
Many years ago when this event took place, Rabbi Shimon traveled to this area intending to remain for a short while, but Hashem willed that the Rebbe's words be fulfilled, and Rabbi Shimon was forced to remain there for several years. What happened during this time would consume many volumes. Rabbi Shimon lived among non-Jews during this time and was subject to untold difficulties and temptations. So we don't know exactly what the detail was, just to recap it, but Rabbi Shimon bothered Rebbe Nachman in some way, and Rebbe Nachman basically cursed him and banished him to this area. Okay. I'm sure we're just gonna take it for what it is, because I don't know, hey, what's up, Yocheved? Welcome. Okay.
Story of my life.
Okay. We just started. We're on Sikha 173. Okay. While Rabbi Shimon was away, the Rebbe moved from Zelatopolia and settled in Breslov. By the time Rabbi Shimon returned, the Rebbe had already lived here for 2 or 3 years. The Rebbe told Rav Shimon, I have advanced as much between the time you left and today as I advanced between the day I was born and the time you left. The Rebbe constantly rose higher and higher from one level to the next. What he meant was that he had advanced through as many levels during the 3 years of Rabbi Shimon's absence as he had advanced from his birth until that time. So Rebbe Nachman was talking about himself and saying how much he grew in the time that Rabbi Shimon was gone. This should give you some idea of the Rebbe's greatness. When Rabbi Shimon left, the Rebbe had already been in the Holy Land. He had already gone through years of self-discipline. Even before reaching the Holy Land, he had attained an awesome level of greatness and a most wonderful perception into the deepest mysteries. He was already on a level never before seen or heard. Then after a traumatic journey, he was able to reach the Holy Land and return in peace. It was in the Holy Land that the Rebbe attained what he did. He himself said, what I perceived before coming to the land of Israel was literally nothing. I am ashamed of the limited scope of my teachings before then. So Rebbe Nachman is saying, just to recap this part also, about how when he actually went to Eretz Yisrael, he gained incredible levels, and pretty crazy line. He says, I'm ashamed of all my teachings before I went to Eretz Yisrael, meaning my teachings after are so much higher and so much better.
Why did you go back?
It's a question. I don't know the answer.
It's not
even more, he was very what?
What year was this when he went to Israel?
He died in 1810, so it's probably, and he probably not, because he died really young. It probably, yeah. Right, I was going to say it's probably early 1800s. He was there for very short, yeah. What? Nothing.
Even when he came, he like landed and he's like, okay, now I can go back.
Right.
And they were like, no, you have to come in. Like, and then he went to like Spa in Yerushalayim because they like forced him.
Right. Exactly. We'll get into that a little bit, but okay. It was in the Holy Land that the Rebbe attained what he did. He himself said, I just read this. What I perceived before coming to the land of Israel was literally nothing. I am ashamed of the limited scope of my teachings before then. After returning, he elevated himself from one level to the next, every day and every hour. When Rabbi Shimon left, he had already been back from the Holy Land for several years. Just try to imagine the high level that he stood upon at that time. After all this, Rabbi Shimon was separated from him for a little over 3 years. The Rebbe could still say that he had advanced as much during those 3 years as he advanced from the time he was born until Rabbi Shimon left. So the point that, to me, that I'm going to try to bring out in this year is like how much Rabbi Nachman valued Eretz Yisrael and how much Eretz Yisrael does for us. So that's like the topic of this year, and we're gonna talk that through. But just to give you like a brief thing about what happened to Rebbe Nachman, like it says like his ship almost sunk on his way here, and it's actually in this book also. There's like his pilgrimage section, and it's like crazy stories and of how Rebbe Nachman got to Eretz Yisrael, and he decided one day, and then he like right away, and like his wife was freaking out, and he's just like, no, that's it, I'm going, like I need to go, this is something that needs to happen. And it's true what Dina said also, like he got here and he took like 4 feet like in Eretz Yisrael, and he was in Haifa, like he wasn't, that's where he landed, and he was like, okay, I'm good. Like, I mean, he stayed for a little longer, but he was just like, I got what I needed to get over here. And there's stories that he had to like, first of all, just in general, like there are a lot of stories about the Baal Shem Tov also that tried to go to Eretz Yisrael and he didn't make it. Like he went on story after story, the boat almost capsized, all these crazy adventures happened to him too, and he didn't actually make it. And Rabbi Nachman thought he wasn't going to make it either, but he just wanted to try. Like he went to visit, like on his way, I think he stopped in Turkey, and he went to visit a relative of his that was buried there, because also trying to get to Eretz Yisrael. Like it was a very, very difficult, dangerous travel. And they're like, France was in war, and they were saying like the sea will be taken over by French people.
Right,
and like
complain that we can't get direct flights.
I know. That's yeah. I just you know what? Exactly, because that's like all like our forefathers and all the tzaddikim, and like they really paved the way for us. And hey, what's up, SD? And like, right, we're gonna talk about him in one of the pieces, and like and the Tzionim paved the way, and all these people, like we take even the people who came 20 years, like the generation before us that came, like Lonnie's parents, and like how much more did they have to go through than we did, and it's like all of this like just keeps on paving the way and making it easier for us, and we're so lucky that we get to be here, so lucky. So okay. Okay, what do I have? Page 64. I wrote on your thing, right? Yeah. No. Okay. Yeah. I didn't photocopy for you. I'm just gonna read this one piece. Okay, I'm just gonna read this one part. Okay, in the early morning, this is part from his pilgrimage. In the early morning, all the people on the ship said slichos with great joy. Then they prayed the morning service. After their prayers, everyone disembarked in Haifa. It was then that the Rebbe first set foot on the Holy Land. He had come to the place for which he yearned. He had thirsted for this moment with the greatest longing. For this, he had risked his life thousands of times, literally casting his soul aside. He set foot on the Holy Land. He was actually standing there. The tremendous joy that he experienced at that instant is beyond all imagination. If all the seas were ink, it would not describe it in the least. In that instant, the Rebbe attained to everything. He later said, "The moment I walked 4 steps in the Holy Land, I achieved my goal." So that's the part that I was explaining before. What did you say? Right. Yeah, he got very sick through the journey, and yeah, so it's just whatever. It's very cool. I mean, the truth is that like so many people that, not just the tzaddikim, but like a lot of people that came here in the early years, like they risked their lives, and like even like, you know, like I said, like the tzionim, like how many of them died from malaria, and how many they really all these people, it's like you see it as like a process. Everyone like paved the way for geula, you know, for us to be here. Okay, so now I want to go into Likutei Moharan 155. So this is like such an awesome piece.
Wait, what about 64?
Yeah, I read that. Yeah, I just read that. Thank you.
Sorry.
No, thank you. Okay. Okay. Sadness is an evil trait, and a person's not traveling to the tzaddik is due to sadness and sluggishness and slothfulness. So I'm just going to read it in the Hebrew. Atzvat hu midara me'od u masha adam inu nosei la tzaddik hu mechamas atzvas u kvedut, like heaviness, you know? And I don't like when he says atzvat, he's not like talking about clinical depression or anything. I think it's important to say that, like, he's talking about like a real form of despair. That's how like I understand it, at least from learning like a lot of his other pieces. Like Rebbe Nachman was very into like being brokenhearted, and he spoke a lot about like if you're like a disaster, like speak about it cry your heart out during his spodidus for an hour a day, but then like don't get stuck. Like he knew the danger of getting stuck in your sadness and how debilitating it could be. And that's why he has like so many Torahs about trying to be happy. But again, like I don't think like he's saying it in a way to like shame you, you know, like if that's what people struggle with. He's just trying to teach us like it comes from the evil side, and like you should know that it does. Like in a different place he says it's the serpent's bite, it's like the nachash's bite. Like that's what sadness is. Like it's important to know like when it falls into Yetzer Hara side, and like when you know, like if you know like, okay, this is my Yetzer Hara, it's not who I am, then it's easier to like to separate it from yourself and to detach from it in a way, you know. Like I think I'll speak from experience. Like, you know, sometimes like I get caught in like sadness, and it does feel very validating at points. It's like I was like trying to think of an example, you know, like let's say you get like left out with all your friends or something like that, you know, and it's like, and then you're sad about it, and you're sitting on your couch, and you're just like nobody, and you just want to go there, like nobody likes me. What's wrong with me? What do I do wrong? What?
You have to be validating.
Right.
He does.
Let me think of an example that I do struggle with. No, you're right.
I was gonna say, I'm like, wait, I always invite you.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm sorry, I can struggle with that.
Yeah. No, it's not. I wasn't saying the struggle was mine. I was saying like about when I get stuck in sadness, you know? Trying to give a like light one, you know? I don't know if you want to hear the heavier ones.
Sadness can come from worrying. I'm worrying about my kids, and that can make me sad.
For sure. There are layers, you know? Lots of layers to like our whole emotional train that like just, you know, goes off without us sometimes, you know. It goes off track. But
Sometimes it's like cozy or comfortable to be in that place.
Right. It's validating. It's like, you know, I can't explain. I like, whatever.
No, if we all think about it,
Right.
We can all think of something personally that
Right.
pops up for us in our head that we could all relate to.
And it's validating, or like, let's say, okay, this is a light example. It's not a heavy example. But okay, but let's say, like, I missed Asifat Horim, or I missed, like, I didn't even know it was going on, like, something.
They left you out.
All right.
I would be delighted if I got to miss Asifat.
They actually included me many times, but or missed, or as Yocheved knows, miss. Oh, you also know this because I tell you the track. Like, I missed, like, Ketana deadline. You know what I'm saying? Like, all these things, and like, totally, like, those, like, I'm not saying I want to sit there crying on the couch, but like, sometimes sometimes when it compiles, and like, also camp deadline and this deadline and that deadline, all these things that I end up missing, and I'm just like, you just want to sit there on the couch and be like, I'm such a failure. Like, what is wrong with me that I can't, like, it makes the feelings real. Like, it makes it like your pain is real. That it's like validating, I guess. That's what I'm trying to say, But like, Rebbe Nachman is warning us, like, you want to cry about it, you want to, fine, like, go for it. But like, first of all, he's very into like bringing it into a prayer, Like, don't just fall into despair. Like, bring it into tefillah, bring it into prayer. Take it. Turn it to Hashem, exactly. And then move on, So, and for the newcomers, like, Rebbe Nachman had like a super difficult life. He lost a ton of kids. He had everyone hated him. He had a ton of controversy against him, besides for a small group of Talmidim. Like, when he speaks about these things, I'm not saying he like struggled with depression or struggled with, because I wouldn't know this, but he had plenty of he suffered immensely. So, okay, we'll move on. Okay, so I'm just going to start from the beginning because it's 2 lines. Sadness is an evil trait, and a person is not traveling to the tzaddik is due to sadness and sluggishness and slothfulness. So, like it's, what does traveling to the tzaddik have to do with it, And, well, first of all, Rebbe Nachman was very into traveling to the tzaddik in general and attaching yourself to a tzaddik. But also, like, tzaddikim bring us chizuk. Like, that's really, like, they show you, like, what a human being is able to accomplish. And on top of that, like, real tzaddikim, like, they build you up. Like, anyone who's asked for real advice from a tzaddik knows that. Like, they're there to show you, like, you've got this. Like, your soul is precious and Hashem loves you, and like this, and that like takes you out of this sluggishness and slothfulness and sadness,
The whole like Hasidic movement, because like the layman couldn't get to a level or didn't have the time or perfect themselves. I think we're ready, like, infuse this oxygen into your connection.
For sure.
They know, like,
For sure, 100%.
Working, he like goes on to reach his Rebbe, he comes back like alive.
Right.
That's the feeling.
100%. Yeah. Especially, like, I mean, for sure, for like the Jews then had it rough, like they had like a lot of pogroms and again, like all the Talmidei Chachamim were like on a very high level and didn't naturally like talk to the regular Jew. Like, that's what Hasidus brought it, and for sure, like, that you matter as well, But for us too, like, it's still true today. Like, I think a lot of us struggle with like our self-worth, And this is what tzaddikim and learning their sfarm comes to teach us, Okay, likewise, a person's not praying or studying Torah with inspiration and intensity is due to sadness and slothfulness, i.e. due to a lack of faith, a lack of Emunah. For certainly, if he had perfect faith and believed that Hashem is close to him and hears every single word that comes from his mouth and hearkens to the sound of his prayer, he would definitely not have any sadness, slothfulness, or sluggishness in his prayers, and he would certainly pray properly. So we spoke about this many times, but what would it look like if we actually believed Hashem was listening to us? How would we daven then? Never. Right? Like it's faith. Like it is Emunah, because we don't believe it. It's like Emunah atzmi and bitachon atzmi, right? That's the word. And like, right, self-confidence and confidence in Hashem. Like it goes hand in hand. Like it's just, like that. I've spoken about this before, so sorry if it's a repeat, but like that, like Viktor Frankl, like man's search for meaning, like anything could be, like what could be done if we know the why, that's the main thing. Like we could face any difficulty, we could face any challenge if we just know why, like the meaning, like why we're doing it. And it's like with tefillah, with mitzvot, with raising our kids, with difficulties in marriage and difficulties in other parent relationships, whatever it is, like if we just understood like why, then it'd be easy. Right. That's faith. Right. Exactly. Believe that there is a why. However, the confusion of prayer is mainly due to a lack of faith. As a result, slothfulness and sadness beset him and muddle his prayer. For sadness and the slothfulness are primarily due to a lack of faith. Because, like, you get depressed when you think, like, everything's meaningless, That's, like, how many, Netflix binges do we have because everything's meaningless? Or how many, for some people, drug addictions, or definitely I could relate to alcohol, Like, how many, like, for sure. What? Escapes, yeah. Shopping. I mean, there's countless, Okay, this is similar, for example, to placing wheat in good earth. It then grows and sprouts well and is not harmed by any winds, storms, or thunder. This is because it has the power to sprout and the power to grow, and so nothing harms it. But when the wheat is put in earth unsuitable for sowing, it then rots in the earth, because it has neither the power to sprout nor the power to grow. So the Emunah is this good earth. It's like this amazing Adama that, like, just, if you had, we know this, like, Emunah is the basis for everything. It's like, it could get us through life, like, simply and easily, right? Okay. Now, Emunah, faith, is an aspect of growing power and sprouting power. As it is written, I'm just going to read the Hebrew, Vayihi Omein Etadasa, from Megillas Esther. And an expression connoting growth, right? Mordechai raised Esther. Omein. As our sages, like Emunah, as our sages teach, faith, this is the order of Zeraim, seeds. Therefore, when one has faith, which is the aspect of growing power and sprouting power, he is then not harmed by any obstacle, and he is not afraid of anybody or anything. He prays with proper vitality and travels to the tzaddik, for he's neither frightened by nor afraid of anything in the world. So, like, complete equanimity, like when you have this Emunah, there's nothing that could scare you. So, like, all your anxiety about the kids and all, like, you just go about it with calmness, because like somebody else has got it. But when he lacks faith, then he does not have the power to grow and the power to sprout. In that case, he literally rots like the aforementioned wheat. As a result, he experiences sadness, slothfulness, and sluggishness, and literally rots. Okay. This is the concept of Erech Apayim, slow to anger, from Shemos. In other words, that he fears nothing and pays no attention to any interruption and confounding of his service of God. But instead does what he has to do. This is the concept of slow to anger. Nothing can confuse him because nothing bothers him. Rather, he does what he has to do in his service of God. So Rebbe Nachman's comparing here Erech Apayim, slow to anger, to true Emunah, because again, it's like this equanimity. Like nothing's like making you angry. Nothing's upsetting you or obstructing you in any way. You're just like, okay, Emunah, like it's all good. Like it's all what it's meant to be. Okay, there are no more copies. Okay. This is because, sorry, Abigail. Okay. This is because slow to anger is dependent on the aspect of faith. For as long as there is idol worship in the world, there is divine wrath in the world, from Devarim. But through faith, which is the reverse of idolatry, divine wrath is eliminated. Then one merits ta'arichat apayim, which is the reverse of charon af, divine wrath. So, so when a person has Emunah, and they're slow to anger, then that really then you come to patience. Again, like it flows, like it just, like it's a person who, like how many times do we like push and try to get this done and that, like, just get through that list of everything that needs to get done, and like it would be so nice if we could just get through the list like calmly, but like we're right, or like we have to do the list, like whatever the, like we have to pick up the dry cleaning for those that do dry cleaning, or have to like do the laundry, let's put it, or right, we also have to daven, we have to do this, we have, even with our mitzvot, like it's always on a list of things that need to get done. But like again, like if we could do it patiently and be patient with ourselves and and patient with others, like it could go very far. And even like I think like it's directly related, like this patience and slow to anger, like being also, just bringing in a side point here, I mean, even though I think it has to do with it, so it's not a side point, but patient with like others around us also, like just like patient with other people's limitations, patient with our own limitations, like we all have that, and that makes us slow to anger. Like we won't get so angry or annoyed or frustrated, In other words, through faith, one merits patience. He will be patient with regard to any confusion, bless you, or obstacle that he experiences in his prayer with service. He will be forbearing towards everything. He will not at all be sad or slothful because of this obstacle. Rather, he will restrain his ruach spirit from anger and not be bothered by it whatsoever. He will do what he has to do in his service and persevere throughout, and will not at all be affected by the confusions and obstacles. So I give us all a bracha that we get that. This faith through patience, and just not be so, like handle all the obstacles. Binachas. All this is the aspect of slow to anger, to which a person merits through faith, which corresponds to growing power and sprouting power. Through this, he grows and blossoms and is successful in his service, for he cannot be confounded by any obstacle that might make him fall into sadness and sluggishness, God forbid, and thereby obstruct him. Rather, he will do what he has to do with zeal and joy, without taking any note of all the confusions. All this is the aspect of slow to anger, faith, growing power, and sprouting power as above. So I love this like last little piece, like again, like doing the mitzvot, like if you have this Emunah and you have this slow to anger and you have this patience, like that will lead you, like you'll do your mitzvot with joy, which we spoke about a lot last week, and doing like somebody else is handling everything, who knows a lot more than us and has it all worked out, and we could just take a step back, and like it. Good. We all need it like we should sleep with it under our pillow, morning. Like, don't yeah. Angry. Right. So, exactly. Yeah. Right. Yeah. So, okay. Okay, here we go. Bum, bum, bum. Next section. Okay. And no, slow to anger is dependent upon the land of Israel, upon Eretz Yisrael. Vidah, and whenever Rebbe Nachman says Vidah, it means like pay attention here. This is a big one, She'erech apayim taloi be'Eretz Yisrael. And no, slow to anger is dependent upon the land of Israel. There one merits to the aspect of slow to anger. For the land of Israel corresponds to faith. As it is written in Tehillim, dwell in the land and cultivate faith. I'm just going to read it in the Hebrew. Shechan Eretz Urei Emunah. So,
it's a bit interesting if you consider the temperament of most of the Israelis.
But they have they definitely have the anger.
But boy, they're quick to anger.
Yeah, they're quick to anger.
Like more than any other culture in the world. It's funny.
Right.
Like,
especially on the road.
Right.
But they also have the Emunah.
Right. But
it's like the same.
You're right.
Yeah.
People who are completely alienated have that Emunah, but
right.
I think that's the slow to anger, that being in Israel leads you to be slow to anger. It's not what we see.
Right. So it's saying, let's see, it's dependent. upon the lands of Israel. Let's see what he means. Let's keep on reading. But I mean, there's also everything's a process. I mean, if you don't think that he's going to talk about how Eretz Yisrael like teaches patience, like. Right.
Cultivated slowly, and everything is like, it took us years just to get back here and work the process, not die from all the diseases that came from when we first moved into the lab. Like,
Right. We spoke about that in the beginning also. Like, it's all no, I'm agreeing with you. Yeah, I'm not cutting you off. Yeah.
There's no like the seasonal fruits and everything.
Right.
Vacation,
Right.
Get your coverage all year. Like,
Going right.
that when we respond to like, okay, this is the way it works, we're automatically getting that like embedded inside of us, like the sparkles, like
right.
Right.
No Amazon
instilling
overnight.
it, and no crime, yeah.
Right.
Zero
You really
low,
learn communication then.
we deserve Sussman, like not one.
Even with the anger, for like I'm just like thinking just whatever with the like with the driving and everything. Like I see like a lot of times when Israeli fights, like it's not actually personal.
No, it's never personal.
Right.
It's just, yeah.
Yeah.
And then they're high-fiving
And then they're like, "What's wrong with you? Calm down," you know?
Right. And when you make it personal because you think it is, they're like confused. Like this is not a personal thing. Like it's not like you know.
To Israel in 1990, the fighting and the driving was much crazier
Right.
than it is now. Like I drive around now and everyone is like,
Could you remember my picture that she wants
no,
about?
in Yerushalayim, I drive tons in Yerushalayim. Even Yerushalayim, it used to be that bus drivers would get out of the car, out of the bus, and literally move cars. I've seen it, okay?
Right.
The bus driver would get out, and other people would get out, and they would pick up the cars because they all were in the army, and they're all strong, and they're all capable.
Wow.
It's amazing to see how
They've
everyone
cracked down on
calmed
the
down.
driving, though.
Well, it's because
cracked down
There's so
on
many
it.
it's also
farmers
because I mean we're gonna get to this also, but it's like everything is a process, and the more Jews, I mean this is like what I wanted to bring in about Eretz Yisrael also, but I was gonna leave it for the last piece, but I'll just bring it in now. Like Rav Kook talks about this a lot. Like the more Eretz Yisrael is a living organism. Like it's not just like a land and like this is what it is. Like it's alive and it's living and it changes just like we do, just like the human being, you know. And like the more that what's like Eretz Yisrael's nourishment and food, and it's the same thing with us. But let me just finish this thought. What's like Eretz Yisrael's nourishment and food? It's the Jewish people. And like the more the Jewish people like come and settle and nourish and feed it, then the more Eretz Yisrael blossoms and comes to its right. Thank you. Ultimate perfection. Hold on one sec. And the same thing for us, like the more that we, like as people, like it's vice versa. Like when we come to this land, also like what Rebbe Nachman's saying here, like the more we come to Emunah, like we come to our fullest potential as well. Like it's a union. And with Torah, that's like the third part of it, but I didn't, you know, but it's obviously Torah's a big part of everything, you know, but it's like, Torah is also a living organism that changes, and it's all, these are like the three things, Eretz Yisrael, Am Yisrael, and Torah. What do you want to say? Sorry.
I can't remember.
Oh, okay, sorry.
I had such a cute story. I was doing holiness and it was the person that was saying to promise Avram or something. The question was, what did Hashem promise Moshe? He promised Moshe he would take him and reading the Chumash, and he says, take it to Eretz Yisrael, Chalavadosh. And I said, Hashem, you know what that is? He goes, yeah, it's about Chalavadosh. I said, that's Eretz Yisrael. We live here. He said, whoa.
Yeah, so cute. Okay, I love that. Okay.
Actually, I actually have a piece. I bring it.
Show us after.
It's like Eretz Yisrael, Am Yisrael. Oh, I love just like classic.
Wow. I want to see it. Show me after. Okay. Okay, I think I'm up to here. Okay, we find therefore that the essential service of a Jew is achieved by means of the lands of Israel. So exactly what we just said, right? which corresponds to faith, slow to anger, growing powder, and sprouting powder. Through this, one merits to strengthen his service and to take no notice of any obstruction or obstacle or confusion, for it is not possible to truly merit to the service of God except through this, as explained. Thus, essentially, Moshe Rabbeinu's exceptional yearning and fervor that he felt such enthusiasm for the lands of Israel, right? He was like desperate to come in, was only for the sake of this trait of patience, because he saw that there, in the lands of Israel, one merits to the aspect of slow to anger. And this is what our sages teach. Moshe quickly bowed to the ground and prostrated himself in Shmos. What did he see? He saw slow to anger. This is as mentioned above, because he saw the aspect of slow to anger, which is dependent upon the land of Israel. Like, there were certain things he just wasn't able to get unless he came in, certain like high levels. And we're talking about Moshe Rabbeinu here, so that's like pretty wild, you know? His heart burned for the land of Israel in order that he might merit to slow to anger, as above. They, the sages, said there, and another opinion holds, he, Moshe, saw truth, emes. One maintains this and one maintains that, yet there is no disagreement. This is because truth corresponds to the land of Israel as explained elsewhere. So some people say it's that he saw this erech apayim, slow to anger, and some people saw that he saw that real emes exists here. But whatever it is, there was something that he saw that he felt like his neshama wanted, like he wanted that tikkun. The Talmud concludes there, from this we can assume that he saw slow to anger, for as mentioned, the aspect of patience is paramount. And each person has to request of God that he yearn and long for the land of Israel, and that all the tzaddikim have great longing for the land of Israel. Like, that's a good thing to daven for also, that like everyone sees the kedusha of Eretz Yisrael, not just for sure we have to daven that we see the real kedusha of Eretz Yisrael and not talk bad about Eretz Yisrael, and, you know, but also like every tzaddikim and all the people who aren't here. This is also a propitious, somebody could correct me, that's probably not how you pronounce it, method, propitious, yeah? Okay. For overcoming anger and sadness, for whoever gets angry, it is as if he served idolatry. But the land of Israel corresponds to faith, slow to anger, and the reverse of the diaspora, which is idolatry and divine wrath. This is why, prior to the Kriyat Shema, which is an expression of faith in God's unity, we request, may he lead us with uprightness to our land. That is, we plead and long for the land of Israel. Through this we merit to faith, namely Kriyat Shema, which is faith. So, right, we say that in Ava Rabbah, B'hu yolikenu komimiya liartzenu, like we say, let Hashem lead us to the land, like with like the right intentions, and we say that before Shema, which is all about Emunah, which is Eretz Yisrael. So, okay. So super powerful piece. I mean, just to like recap it, we spoke about like knowing like having Emunah in our mitzvot and having an Emunah in everything we do, and then having Emunah in ourselves and having Emunah in, and that brings us to this patient, erech apayim, slow to anger situation. And where do we get that the most? Like, where does it all come from? It comes through Eretz Yisrael. So very powerful. Yeah. Right. Right, I guess he felt like he needed the tikkun.
I know, so then I'm such a hard like, why Hashem? I know it's not like me for now, but why Hashem then was asking for the tikkun?
Right.
And then he wasn't allowed to have it.
Right.
And I also
don't know why.
Something in that, like, you don't, it's going to be totally misinformation or anything, but like, we don't always get to attacking everything. Like, we can, and it's not hard to fix everything.
Right. For sure. Right. That's what Emunah is, you know? It's just, he had to have Emunah in Hashem's decision, and it was hard for him. He begged and begged, you know? But it's a good question. I don't know. Right, that was definitely the tikkun also, for sure. That makes sense. Okay, so I'm just gonna skip. I'm gonna say this outside a little bit, and then I'm gonna go to the part that speaks about Eretz Yisrael that I wanted to bring in. So, Rebbe Nachman says that telling stories of the tzaddikim it's a really great thing, and it purifies your mind. And we actually did this piece, I think, a while ago. But however, it's impossible to tell. So Rebbe Nachman says you shouldn't be telling stories of tzaddikim unless you're able to imitate Hashem. And what does it mean by imitating Hashem? It means to be able, just like Hashem was able to separate light and darkness, so for us, that means to separate between good and bad. You have to know what's good and what's bad. And Rebbe Nachman says that because any story you're going to tell of tzaddikim, there is a counterforce of somebody that did the same thing. And he says Pinchas, he mentions, that Pinchas, he flew into the air, and then Bilam also flew in the air, but that was the evil, and that was used not, and he said even, and he says an amazing thing that also that even if you don't know what's right and what's wrong, you have to have even just having strong Emunah that there is a right and wrong is okay. Then you could tell stories about tzaddikim, because I just I thought that was very powerful, that one line, just because how many times do people wash away evil, they're just oh, it's not so bad, belittle it, or not make it into to see what the evil that really exists, we're always just justifying, I guess, but that's not the way. We have to know what's right and what's wrong, and our
In the parsha this week of that's a
right.
you can't have redemption. You have to destroy evil.
Right. Right.
So you see the people that are not connected to Torah, make peace,
Right.
chances,
False compassion.
Right, exactly. So we could talk about that all day, but that's perfect example, 100%, we have to know what's evil and not justify it away. So okay, so then
Almost against the opposite of what we're always taught to have good ethos, to have compassion and empathy and forgiveness, and
It's misplaced.
right,
Can't be misplaced
Right,
though.
as a Jew, it's ethos that are you're
Right.
trying to emulate Hashem, but this is
right, exactly. And midos are really within measure, midah, that's the whole, you can't have too much chesed, you can't have too much, you can't have too much judgment either. Everything has to be balanced, right? Okay, so I'm going to go to 3. Do you guys see 3 in Likutei Moharan 234? There should be a 3, I hope. Yeah? Okay. Now the way to so I'm just going to bring it into the Eretz Yisrael connection here. Now the way to merit this, to be able to imitate Hashem and separate light from darkness, as explained above, is by means of hashgacha, is by means of providence. One must transcend the natural order, this being the aspect of holiness generally. So the way to imitate Hashem and to separate light from darkness is by seeing hashgacha. Rebbe Nachman saying, I'm going to explain this a little more, but I just want to read more first. One merits this through the land of Israel, for the land of Israel is most inclusive in all types of holiness, because all the 10 types of holiness are there. So where do we see hashgacha pratis the most? It's here. And Rebbe Nachman says, he brings from, I think it was from a Mishnah, but apparently there are 10 types of holiness that are only here, no place else, just here. And just to I heard, I'm just going to tell you a quick hashgacha pratis story, because we're talking about stories anyways, telling stories of tzaddikim and stuff. And I have stories of tzaddikim too, but I don't know how much time we have. But this fresh off the press, so my husband with Esther's husband, they go down to Gaza the border of Gaza every Friday, and they give food, whatever, to soldiers and everything. So one of the soldiers told them this week, did you hear this? Oh, this is crazy. So one of the soldiers told them this week that that they found a tunnel, and the whole unit, he's a miluim, 40-year-old guy, the whole unit went into the tunnel, and it was nighttime already, and they're it's way too dark, we can't let's get out and like we'll get our flashlights and all the right gear and we'll go back in. So they went out of the tunnel and blew up. Like the whole unit was saved, you know? And because it was so dark outside that the terrorists didn't, like Hamas didn't see them come out. And the whole unit was saved. And like that's, you know, like imagine like if not, like imagine if this week like all those names came out, you know, like it devastating, you know? Like but like Hashem, you know, like there are so many, like everybody, I mean that was just, I'm just bringing, I know there's somebody coming out with a book about all the stories apparently. That's what I heard. So it would be, but there's so many like hashgacha pratis stories, and we, you know, like you see it happen all the time. Even last night I went to the hotel, you know, I was so tired, and as always, nothing new there, you know, and like whatever, and I was like laughing because my husband, like he always tries to go into the old city now, like to park closer, and you know there's like the machzom there and they never let you. I was like making fun of him. I'm like, how many times are you gonna try this? You know, like we've been here. They're not gonna let you in.
I always want to try, but then I'm scared I'm gonna get stuck. What do you do when?
No, there's a way to turn around. Yeah. Trust me, I've been through the way to turn around many times. Yeah, it's very easy. You just yeah.
Because it's in and out.
Right. Yeah. You could get out very easily.
I park on Hartsfield all the time. I only park on Hartsfield.
No, so but we went through the old city. No, we went through the old city. Anyways, it was open. I was like perfect, and I was actually yeah. No, it was open. I was like what? But anyways, there's always there's so many hashgacha pratis stories, and I was also reading like a story about I was trying to bring in like stories of tzaddikim and hashgacha pratis because that's what this piece is about. But like also like there's a story about the Baba Sali. Like you can't, you know, you always have to mention the Baba Sali when you talk about Nisim and tzaddikim. And there's a story about how like he lived in the Negev and like Jews came up to him and they were like saying they're like our crops are gonna die. This is like recent. How long ago did the Baba Sali live? You know, anybody know? He died like it was in the last 100 years most. You know, right? Yeah.
I think he's not like 20 years ago.
Right. Okay, so imagine the story happened 30, 50 years ago, right? Like he like went like the Jews in the Negev went up to him and they were like our crops are going to die. There hasn't been rain, you know? And he's like, "Okay." And he like 1984. Okay. So he like davened his heart out, crying, tearful, and then he, you know, drank Iraq, covered it. That was like his style. He covered the Iraq and drank from it. And all the Jews, and he's like, there'll be rain tonight, you know? And all the Jews went home, pitom, it poured, all the crops were saved, you know? It's like these, like the land, I'm just going to read this and set my notes that I wrote because I get confused in my head sometimes. But like the land of Israel, it's like it's the summit of holiness. It's like the place of holiness, right? And it's there that we can free ourselves, like, and realize like the world's not running on teva. Like there's hashgacha pratis, there's nisim, there's all this stuff, right? And when a person knows this, like he's able to become like Hashem, and he's able to distinguish between light and darkness, because you're seeing like a separation. You're seeing that like there's goodness and Hashem is involved, you know? Obviously it's good also when bad happens too, but we're human and we feel like you know, like we only want the hashgacha to happen in the good ways, you know? So to separate like this light and darkness, like it requires like Emunah, it requires this ultimate level of Emunah, like of knowing that there's good and seeing that Hashem is good. And that really, like Rebbe Nachman saying here, it could only happen through Eretz Yisrael. So
I feel like I go and I walk to the island into the hospital.
mhm.
Every single one of them, no matter if they're missing an eye, if they're missing a leg, will never be able to use their arm again because all the muscle tissue was like destroyed.
Yeah.
Every single one of them will say they are a miracle and they saw Yad Hashem, and they will all say, like, they'll all admit they're a living miracle and they saw Yad Hashem, and not one of them have they ever heard say anything negative. Like,
wow,
this is my life, I'm only 19 years old. This is like I should be going to the movies with my girl. They all say, I saw Yad Hashem, I saw Yad Hashem, because
Wow.
2 of my friends died, and they didn't make it, and, you know, and it's an amazing mindset. They're not religious.
Right.
They all recognize Yad Hashem firsthand.
Right.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
That's what this country, you know, yeah.
Right. So we're so lucky, like we're all zocha to be here, and we're so lucky that, and like for real, like the tzaddikim, Moshe Rabbeinu, even with his like he paved the way for us, you know, and all the set Rebbe Nachman through his art, ridiculously hard journey, and like everybody, you know, like paved the way for us, and we have to be so happy and so grateful, and yeah, like we should just like continue to like feed the organism of Eretz Yisrael, and like it should feed us, you know. So, okay.
That's very interesting.